Hello, I'm John Baker. I'm the project manager for the Hovells Creek Landcare Group, and we've got a paddock tree project, a 3-year project funded by the New South Wales Environment Trust. We're planting about 500 to 600 trees a year, and we're now in year 2 of the project. Start by looking at this. This is a tree that was planted last year in the first year of the project. You'll note that the mesh is 1200 high with just 2 posts. That's because we're in sheep country here. If you've got cattle, then you're going to need the mesh that's 1650 high, and you would have 3 posts. You'll see the tree here that was planted a year ago. It's already got quite a lot of good growth, although when it was planted it was just under the top of the plastic. So now let's move on and have a look at how we plant trees. And the first thing I need to really emphasize is, look, there's no right or wrong way. There are best ways. I mean, we've been planting trees since about 1995, my wife and myself, but other people do things slightly differently, etc. So, you know, I'm not trying to be too prescriptive. We usually start by just cutting off a turf square, and that has 2 benefits. It stops weed competition, and also when you're watering it gives you a hollow to water into. So there's my bit of turf, and I actually cut it into a couple of pieces, and we'll be using that later. So now you've got to sort of dig yourself you know, a loose area to plant into. I usually try and go down about 1 spade depth. And we've had the benefit of a bit of rain. Can't really do this unless, of course, you've had reasonable rain in the first place. So there's the ground ready for planting. Okay, now when I was digging that last hole, just one thing to mention, I've actually got a spade here that's been cut down a bit more pointed to make it easy to dig the hole. But I want to just show you another idea, and that is, earlier this year I discovered a thing here called a power planter. It's an auger that goes into your power drill. You've got to have a handle or it'll pull your arm off. And normally I drill 3 or 4 holes and then 1 in the centre, like this. Sometimes you have to back it off to get it to come out. Now, as you can see, that wasn't very much work, and the soil is beautifully tilled and ready for planting into. Okay, let's look at planting our tree. I'm using a Hamilton tree planter. Just make a hole in the first place. Put a bit of water in. Normally I sort of fill it about half. Tube stock tree. Put it in. Push the soil down around it. Then heel it in. Fill the hollow with water, and I've added sea salt to this water. Quite a few native tree growers, plant specialists, say that sea salt helps them settle in and encourages growth. Now we want to put the weed mat round. Cane. First cane, second cane, and of course we've had a fair bit of rain, so the ground's soft. If it's hard, I have a sort of metal spike that I hammer in to make the hole in the first place, and then I stick the cane down the hole that the metal spikes made. Put our third cane in. Now this is where those 4 bits of turf come in. I've found that in strong winds, the wind can lift the corner of the weed mat. It can also blow the plastic off. So if you put these 4 bits of turf on the corners of the weed mat, pressing against the plastic, then they tend to hold it all in place. And then finally, just a final sort of top up with water. Okay, as you can see, we've got the guard that I put in place, post, hammer the post in, bit of wire that I've already cut, just line it up with the holes in the post and twitch it round. I make sure that you have a long enough piece of wire so that you can untwitch it later if you want to. Then we go to the other side, put the other post in, again, bit of wire, all cut beforehand. Just line it up with one of the holes, twitch it round, and then I put another 2, one down here and then just another one down here. I don't use pliers for this. That's why I have a little bit of a longer piece of wire, and then you can actually twist it. So there you are. I find you can do these in about 10 minutes, the whole thing. A couple of other comments. You could put these posts in a little bit further. I don't normally take them below about that, because the bottom line is, if you put them in too far, then in a couple of years' time when you want to get them out, they're often not very easy to get out. And my experience is sheep, unless you've got them very closely packed, don't tend to push on them very much. Another thing to comment on, watering. I've not been in the habit of watering them in following weeks. Some people do, some people think that that gives you a better strike. And I suppose if you had a really dry spell, then yes, I probably would come back and water them, but I really haven't been in the habit of doing that, and it doesn't seem to have been a problem. Look, I hope all of that's been useful. I suppose in conclusion I should just say that the project I've been telling you about, the Hovells Creek Paddock tree project, which is actually putting in linking trees between different clumps of vegetation. This year we've got 24 families planting trees. Some people are just planting 12 trees, that's one roll of mesh. Others, the maximum, they're doing 4 rolls of mesh, which is 48 trees. And the feedback from last year, we were getting more than 95% success rate. So, you know, we're pretty happy with the project, and I think the Environment Trust also seem pretty pleased with progress. So I hope there's been some useful ideas here. Thanks.